Ready?
Yep, go.
I almost just stuffed food in my face.
Hey, we're live.
The stream started with a look of panic on Ben's face. That's how it started.
All right, looks like sound is coming through. How's it going, everybody?
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Gosh, well, thanks everyone for joining for the live premiere. That was, gosh, what an experience to having been in the studio and then seeing the output. It was just like, I don't know, it's kind of like an out-of-body experience for me. How'd you all feel?
I don't think anybody on this call was embarrassed to see their faces or just cringed the whole time they watched themselves or anything like that.
None of that happened.
Yeah, it was, I mean, this is something that we have been working on for a really long time. I think let's see, I started working on getting all the right approvals and budget to do this in 2020, maybe 2021. Like, this has been a long time coming, getting everything set up and configured. So really, really, really excited to see this go live and be out in the world.
There were just definitely meetings where Jason would come in and just be like, you know what else would be funny? You know what else would be funny? Oh, and Rafa's in the chat. I mean, Rafa has been making Netlify funny videos for forever. We just never let him publish them in public.
Yes. Are you proud of us, Rafa?
Yeah.
So Brittany has a question in the chat. Tara, you were terrifying as the other universe boss. It's just basically who I am in real life. Were you channeling any past experience? Well, I just became a manager recently, and so that's basically everything I've learned. It was actually channeling other people. I don't know if we're allowed to name names. Who in the past have actually done the what are those projector files? Transparencies on screens to test design work, which to me, I was like, come on, nobody really did that in real life. Did they? Is that possibly a real thing?
This got written in because I was having a conversation about ridiculous things that a boss would do with somebody who has been a boss, and they were like, well, I used to do it like this, and I was like, you're joking. They were like, no, how else do you know that the design is right? And I was like, okay, well, that's going in the commercial.
And there's this Hawks Fillsworth in the chat that is talking about how good the voiceover was. I mean, it was we got what we paid for, basically. I mean,
so speaking of Phil, one of my favorite things that we did in this video is there are just tons of Easter eggs. So if you go back and you watch the video and you kind of look at screens and you look at what's on the screen, we spent so much time, and I think Phil especially put a lot of effort in. So make sure you take the time to go back and watch this video and pause in certain scenes so you can see all the nonsense that happened here.
David Darnes is in the chat talking about old directors who put rulers on their screen.
Yes.
I can't believe these are things. Like, oh my gosh.
Gotta do that quality check. Gotta make sure it's right.
And I think a really good point that's being brought up in the chat is Linda Thompson is talking about the corner piece of cake. And first of all, I have to say that it was unprompted for Ben to do a singing voice. That is just
it really deserved that singing voice though.
I mean, it was definitely clutch, but it's just natural Ben. So I also want to know the experience for Marissa of shoving cake in your face and then typing with cake hands.
was fantastic and something I would happily do over and over and over again. It was very freeing.
How many takes was that, Marissa?
Cake takes.
I think cake takes. I think like probably 3 or 4 at least.
Yeah, minimum, bare minimum. The hardest part was
You ate,
actually
like-
getting the cake to stand on the plate so that I didn't like screw it up, like bringing it over to her. And so we had to make sure it stood, and they cut a certain way because sometimes it would fall. So that was the most stressful part, honestly, of delivering that line.
We got a couple questions in the chat. So Tony is asking, video production is a ton of work. Would you do this again?
I'm like nodding. Eyes wide. Yeah, I thought it was so fun. It was like 2 12-hour days, I think, for shooting.
Yeah.
It was so much fun though. Oh my gosh, it was just so fun.
Yeah, you just realize just how much. I mean, I always knew that a lot of work went into the production and stuff, but like when you see how much the crew is doing, from the attention to detail to like wardrobe and how things look as far as the set. I mean, gosh, if you look back, like we're talking about Easter eggs, like we have scenes with whiteboards and stuff. Like you might want to pause and see what kind of fun stuff we decided to write up on the whiteboard. Like a lot of thought went into the scenery and all the different pieces, and so it was just phenomenal.
Well, there's that scene with there's that scene with the DevOps where there's the backlog and the post-its running all the way under the ground and everything, and those post-its were handwritten by the crew. So somebody sat there for like 2.5 hours just writing out post-its and then had to stick them all up on the wall. And then Phil and I went in and we had opinions about how they were done. So we made them move all the post-its. Like it was a whole thing. But yeah, so Lazar Nikolov is asking what was involved in the making of it. And so that's some of it. But we had it was a 2-camera shoot with a full production company. We had, a whole production team. We worked with a company called Color that has also done, if you've seen stuff out of like GitHub, Microsoft, they do a lot of those types of videos as well. But it was an intensive shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they made
really
custom
fun
art. They printed out like that door that says DevOps. It's like they made that door, and that wasn't actually a powered door. That was just a person pushing the door to make it look like it was powered. And so many fun things, so much movie magic that happened in this to make it feel like this was all one gloomy office. And if you look at the gloomy set versus the brightly colored set, those are the same space. They just switched out the plants, switched out the computers, switched out the art, changed the light. Like so much went into this to make it feel like 2 completely different universes, even though it was exactly the same space.
Yep.
I mean,
watching that transformation was amazing.
Kyle Rollins is in the chat giving away our secrets that the cake was a round cake. There were or they were all corner pieces.
That's a joke that we lost that actually makes me really sad that it didn't make the final cut. But Marissa just ad-libbed at one point. Ben goes, "I saved you a corner piece," and she goes, "It's a round cake, Ben. They're all corner pieces."
Yeah, I can't wait to see the blooper reels it's amazing.
Well, it's funny too because like in the world that we're living in right now, we're all remote. We don't really get to see each other that much. And I personally I went a day late, and I came in to not being around humans. I barely ever leave the house, if I'm being completely honest. I went in and I said hi to people and got yelled at because we were quiet on set. I didn't know that. And I am a very quiet person. But to being dressed by a random stranger, hair done by a random stranger, makeup on, people putting jewelry on me. And I was just like, what is even happening? And then all my coworkers come in the scariest costumes, except Ben. Ben looked like an evil genius, and it suited him really well.
This was actually, I think the funniest thing was we had to change Ben's costume 4 or 5 times, because we're trying, in the other universe, we're trying to make everybody look run down and drab and like kind of overworked, and we kept putting outfits on Ben that were like beige and oversized and they didn't fit, and they were like, God, Ben, you look amazing. Okay, let's try again. Like,
Somebody mess up his hair somehow, and they mess up his hair, and it looks fantastic. And you're like, what?
He just
But
kept looking really cool. It was very frustrating, actually. I think they changed his glasses out like 3 times, the costumes, and every time he's just like cooler than the last time.
And also, never give Jason a pinky ring. That's another thing. we did.
Terrifying. Truly terrifying.
He just started talking to us like this. He would
Yes.
tell us the new plans for Q2 like this.
the worst part is that the ring was like too big, so I felt like I needed to keep it on, so I kept pointing it up and like holding my finger out, so I'm basically just talking like a straight villain the whole time.
Oh, Brittany's asking, how many takes did it take to get the where are the variables
Oh my
part?
gosh.
Oh man, it was a lot of running around. I think we did a lot of takes for each scene, and so there's like 3 or 4 takes for each scene. And that one they just kept telling me to run around the whole office. So there's things that we didn't use where like I was running in different places, yelling. It was a lot. I said the word variables a lot. Like
That
a
definitely
lot.
became the inside joke, like running joke, because we would all hear Marissa
Yeah.
just randomly screaming through the set. Where are the variables?
Which, I mean, it
And my
is
shoes
funny.
were slight.
Oh, yeah, keep
Oh,
going.
I was gonna say my shoes were slightly too big because they were the costume lady that they were her shoes, so they didn't quite fit. So they had tissue stuffed in them, so you could just hear me like shuffle running around because I couldn't lift my feet up all the way. Anyway, and then I'm screaming variables while I'm shuffling around. It was very funny.
But the fact that we put them on the whiteboard, like I've lived that. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I like all of this was sort of hyperbolic, but like everything that happened in this video is a slightly exaggerated version of reality. You know, when I've worked at bigger companies, I remember sending just every sensitive variable that the company had as a like unencrypted DM in Slack, right? And like I absolutely had somebody sit behind me on the computer and just like, you know, use the ruler, not use transparencies, because I can't believe that that's not an exaggeration. But I, you know, had somebody sit, point it, nudge that this far to the left or whatever. Just these completely wild ways that collaboration is hard, that sharing information is hard, that setting up dev environments is hard. Like I remember I joined at IBM as a front end developer, and my first day when I joined the company, they were like, okay, so what you need to do is set up Docker and Nginx on your computer. And I was like, that's not front end development, right? Like, and that was just like, that was your first day. You just had to go do that. And somebody ends up copy pasting an Nginx into Slack, and you grab that and you copy paste that onto your computer and hope that they knew what they were doing, because I certainly didn't know what it did. And you know, that's just how you work in a lot of these big companies. And so, you know, I feel like that was one of the motivations for this video, is that it really does feel sometimes like you're just doing this elaborately overcomplicated kind of hoop jumping whenever you go into a lot of new companies to be a front-end dev. And our hope is that maybe it doesn't have to be that way anymore if you join the Netlify universe.
That would be nice. No, we talked about that. Yeah. Well, there are some more questions in here. Well, Cassidy's question, which Ben answered, but like, Ben, did you keep the outfits?
No, I was not allowed to keep any of the outfits, unfortunately.
But guess who did?
The only person who got to keep outfits was
Yes.
Dom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, Nick Taylor said earlier that Dom was given "I know what you did last summer"
Yes.
fisherman vibes, which is just killing me. But apparently he either wore that outfit so well or was so deeply offensive to the costume artist there that she sent him home with the outfit.
Amazing. I think he kept trying to get her necklace too, but
Oh, that's right. Yep.
didn't
Oh,
happen. Dom's
yeah.
very comfortable
It was
with
really
people.
the costume stuff was also really interesting because when we showed up, they just had like a trailer that was full of different
Yep.
outfits. But throughout the day, the costume person kept taking different articles of clothing off of herself. She was like, "Oh, this ring will look good on you. Oh, here, take my
Yes.
necklace. Like, oh, I've got this." Like she just kept taking stuff off and giving it to people so that they could complete their looks. And then she
Yeah.
had to run around at the end of the day being like, "Hey, that you can't have that one. I need that one back. That was like a gift from my grandmother or something."
In the cake scene, I'm wearing her glasses. So I had to like account for her prescription on top of my contacts. Woo, that was a challenge.
I think Dom was the only one to break in the scenes too. Like Uma was in the background of many scenes and did not break at all, no matter how much she wanted to. But Dom, on the other hand.
So, also, there are 4 alternative edits of this video where we cut shorter, and each of those has bonus footage in it. One of which is featuring Uma, and it is the funniest scene.
Oh, I love it.
It just absolutely kills me. So keep an eye out for those, y'all, because the shorter edits will be there will be extra footage in there.
And then somebody asked, Brittany, she asked, do any of you have professional acting experience? Can you not tell?
I've never been.
Can you
paid.
not tell how seasoned careerists we are at this thing?
Although what's really funny though, I think the biggest compliment we got as a group was the makeup artist was telling me at one point that she was because she works in the industry as far as like tech shows and that kind of stuff, and she was like, I don't recognize any of you as far as like being on scenes for like Silicon Valley or anything. And so she was really surprised like how diverse and like how knowledgeable we were with like our craft. And it was like, yeah, no, we actually work at the company. We're not just actors.
I'll tell you, one of the most, one of like the best feelings was when we walked in and somebody said, "Who's your casting company? Y'all did an amazing job of creating a diverse cast." And we were like, "Well, this is just the team. This is just who works here." And they were like, "No way!" Like, because I don't think about it very much because that's just how we roll at Netlify. But comparatively, we have an incredibly diverse team, and especially when you look around at a lot of these companies, it's just a wall of white dudes, and so being able to say, "Hey team, do you want to be in a video?" And by default, we have a cast that's diverse enough that the company wanted to comment on it. That felt pretty good. That was that was a nice little warm fuzzy.
Jonathan Speak found the QR code on the whiteboard with Phil.
Jonathan, is it your favorite thing you've ever seen? Because that is my favorite thing that's like, no joke, that is my favorite shit post that I've seen from this team to date.
Yeah, that QR code is definitely worth checking out. It is phenomenal, to be honest. It's amazing.
What else?
I think we're kind of running up on time here. So anybody have any last questions before we wrap up? I have a question for Tara, which is, when you bit the top off of that marker, did you? I just want to know what was happening inside. Like what was happening inside of your head?
Bite the top off the marker. I accidentally popped the top off already in my mouth, so I bit the marker. Because I was so anxious that I wouldn't be able to get it off that I just went, and I was like, "Oh, that's the marker."
That's commitment. You just
accidentally drew on the costume designer's coat that she was wearing.
I did so much, but like my favorite part, that I wasn't sure just like what I was supposed to be doing whatsoever, because again, I'm a specialist careerist actor seasoning and
professional.
And so I was so far up in Marissa's face, yelling so loudly that the little hairs on her head just kept like flying from me yelling so loud in her face. It was fantastic.
But she was getting so like breathy too. Like she was right in Marissa's face going, Pixel. Perfect.
And I kept calling her Mary.
Yeah, that was one of the. I wish that didn't get cut. I love that bit. She's like, Mary Maria? She's like, no, Marissa.
Yeah, she kept calling me Mary, and then under my breath, I'd go, Marissa. And then, and people were like, how did you not break? And I was like, she was literally in my face, right by my face. It was not funny. It was slightly terrifying.
I was
The
like, how
terror
close
was real.
can I get to her? And Marissa's like, it's fine. Yeah, really hard work.
Amazing.
We had to do a lot of hard work. I'm still just really impressed by Uma in the background, just like not.
Oh my
breaking
gosh,
it up.
yeah.
She committed.
Cannot wait to share the alternative cuts here. They're going to be incredible. But yeah, I think we are going to probably end it here. I don't see any additional questions. I do know we are planning on making more of these. So, stay tuned, y'all, because we're already working on some good ideas. I know Phil has got a couple really good ideas. I'm working on some stuff that's truly absurd. So we're gonna keep on doing this stuff. I hope that everybody had fun watching this. I hope anybody had as much fun watching this as we had making it, which is a tall ask, but
and thanks for joining us today too.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, y'all. Any parting words before we wrap this up?
I already started waving.
Okay, all right, then we just go.
Bye, everybody.